welcome to another episode of Everything Products with Ehizode. This is episode 3 of season 2. And again, I have an exciting person here. I was actually looking forward to this conversation. I have Temitayo Bankole. Yeah, let's get to know you, your background, how you got into tech, how you got into product management, and how it's been for you so far. So yeah, shoot.
Okay, so we already know my name. I started out as straight out of school. I was a hustler, like almost everybody in Lagos.
But why do you hustle? You look like a rich man, like someone that comes from a very rich background. So why you hustle?
I'm very good at packaging.
Mm.
That's a trait.
Aren't we all actually?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, but I studied mechanical engineering, but straight out of school, I was working at a studio before NYSC. I think I did 2 years at that studio. I was working as a multimedia editor, and we're basically cutting, editing movies, documentaries. If you remember, I was Sophia in London.
Oh, you worked on Sophia in London?
Yeah, it was edited before I joined, but I cut it into the documentary series.
Which Sophia in London is that? Is it the one they shot during my childhood?
Yeah, that one.
No, for real. Are you as old as that?
No, not
that one.
So after the
return of Sophia in London.
No, after the movie, they actually converted the movie into a series.
Oh.
So I worked on that project. After a while, it wasn't immediately afterwards. But yeah, I'm old.
Wow.
But then after working as a multimedia editor, I went back to serve. I did that for 2 years, went back to serve. And after youth service, I worked at an engineering company called engineering.net. It was basically they were basically trying to be the engineers version of Facebook, where student engineers get to be assigned to professional engineers as mentors, and they were learning from projects and stuff like that. I did that for about 1 year, and then I joined Konga as their content production manager. I joined Konga about 6 months after they started, so it was a good experience for me because I was learning as the company grew.
Yeah.
Basically, and I was given a lot of responsibility because I was a content manager at the engineering website, and at Konga I was content production, and I had a team of about 8 people that grew up to 12, and we're basically...
And you were leading all of them?
Yeah, and our job was to take pictures of products, write descriptions, ensure that the prices were accurate. We're basically doing product content, right? And then I did that for about 2 years, and then I joined Jumia. And it was Jumia, I got my...
Yeah, unicorn, like all these big companies that you're just calling.
Then I joined Jumia. I was at Jumia for 7 years.
Wow, that's a long time. Okay.
Yeah, so
Very
I started as content at Jumia, but then I transitioned into marketing, on-site marketing. On-site marketing was heavily product metrics. It was an arm of marketing, but we used to call ourselves the valet of traffic on the website because we're responsible for what the traffic sees, the banners they see, positions of those banners, and then the metrics for those banners. We communicated that to sales and commercial. So like to give them insight on what campaigns to push the subsequent week. And it was there I started to dive into product, and I did product dive actually.
Oh.
I did product dive. After learning all I could about product online, I did product dive, and then I got my first PM gig at a company that was trying to give visibility to small businesses. It's called MTN Engage, but they've rebranded to Tapi. They're called Tapi now. They're Kenyan based, right? So I was a product manager there as well, and it was an interesting experience for me because I used to do a lot of market research and speak to small businesses, right? So I'd go into the field, speak to small businesses we're trying to onboard, and tell them how we could give them visibility on social media and how they could pay for their ads with their MTN credits. The company was working in partnership with MTN at that time. And then I was there for about a year, and then I moved on to another company called Versus Africa. They were basically providing consumer insights for brands. So you'd get the dashboard, and then you'd be able to ask questions to everyday people. So you get an idea of what people think about your brand, and you could use that as market research. Also, I was a senior PM there, and I worked there for also a year, but I had to transition into Bumpa, where I work now as a senior PM as well. And it feels like home here because my experience was always with e-commerce and online retail.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel more. I think almost everybody knows what Bumpa does, right?
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think you want to reiterate.
Yeah,
because it wasn't up to until I met you that I really understood. I've heard the name Bumper, but I haven't like gone to like research on what the company does or what's about. And then recently, I had to like shop somewhere, and I saw that their website was actually Bumper, was a Bumper store. So that was when I think it is even after I met you. That's when it clicked. Maybe I have been using stores that use Bumper. I probably wasn't even paying attention.
Okay.
Right? So, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so I've been working at Bumpa since last year, end of last year, and it's been crazy and very exciting.
Amazing. You have such a very, very rich background, rich experience.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So, how do you think all of those experiences influenced you, like getting into product management, especially marketing, content, and all of those things? How did it lead you up until being a product manager?
So, like I always tell people that ask me what it's like to be a product manager, and I tell them, first of all, we all know you don't learn to be a product manager in school. Well, product management is more or less a series of habits. You either have it or you don't, right? A series of habits. What is trainable is very little compared to attitude or habits you would need to have to excel as a product manager. So while working at Pro Content, right, it kind of gave me, as a content manager, it kind of gave me a lot of experience in UX, user experience, how to present a product in such a way that it would interest anybody that is not decided on whether to buy or not. So there was insight for me there. And then when I moved to on-site marketing, it kind of like gave me, we were heavily, 80% of our job was analysis. So it was product analysis, traffic analysis, it was heavily product metrics. So unknowingly, my experiences kind of like built me up to be a product manager. And in my on-site role, we are working heavily with design and even with engineering. So we needed to design certain banners. We needed to design certain landing pages. We needed to design particular flow from the homepage to how a campaign should work. And then we'd have wireframes with the design team. And then we'd have issues with ability of the platform then. And then we'd speak to engineering, okay, how can we make this work? How can we move from this type of catalog page to another type? So it kind of like, without knowing it, so when I did Product Dive, it was the same things I was used to, but it was with different names. And that's something about product management. There's a lot of terms, a lot of names.
Yes.
So it feels
but yeah, normal things that you probably wouldn't know you've been doing already in other roles, like generally, but they're just different terms for it.
In product management, yeah, true. So it was more or less those habits, and so it was easy for me to transition into product management.
All right. So you talked about attributes or abilities, that characters that you need to develop as product managers. Yeah. What are those?
Some of them are one would be, that resilience, right? You need to not take no for an answer, for instance, right?
How'd that happen? Like how that reflects in your own career?
Well, personally, before I became a product manager, you'd have instances where we had these weekly meetings with commercial and sales, and in those meetings, everybody comes with their own metrics. Commercial will come with, Nokia phone sold the highest last week, right? But then I'd say, okay, yes, Nokia phone sold the highest last week, but according to search results, people were looking for techno. 80% of search results was techno. So why don't we do a campaign around techno next week? And then commercial was like, no, we have this dealer that's giving us a good deal on so and so amount of stock. So we should send our campaigns next week around. So you had that many back and forth. But something I learned is to always argue with data, right? So I do my research and I do my, okay, for the past 2 weeks, we had search results, right? And those search results kind of give us an insight into what consumers are thinking. So this is the direction the campaigns for the next week should go, and we work well. So yeah, so that's one habit, being able to. And something I learned early was to not say no outright. So instead of saying no, I tell you, I hear you, but I think we should do this first because of the data shows us this makes a whole lot of sense. And then we'll come back to doing yours as a backup. So those kind of things it's almost like politics. You have to bruise egos, especially when you're starting out as a product manager. You want to say no, but you don't say no. You just you bring you let it seem like a good idea. You have to package your idea as well. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
that's
that
just
that
one of
brings
many.
us to like stakeholder management, because
Yes.
since you're already touching the topic, right? Let's
Yeah.
just go deep into it. You know, you mentioned data
Yeah.
in diplomatic. Like, what
Yeah.
other ways can you properly manage stakeholders, especially if you have a particular person that is difficult and giving you issues? How can you make sure that you're putting like your best foot forward and you're presenting yourself and bringing results and just basically convincing them that you're the person for the job, you're the great person for the job?
Also, first, that question is one of the most reoccurring questions for product managers. How to manage stakeholders. Well, the first thing I will always say is you have your roadmap for that quarter, first of all, right? And then your roadmap is broken down into OKRs for each team, right? So at some point, there's always what the direction the company is going, is facing, right? So before you even start those arguments, you need to be sure that, okay, this no that I want to say now, this person is arguing with me, can I tie his request to our goals for that quarter, right? Does it align with our goals for that quarter? If it does, right, then your argument will be more difficult compared to if it doesn't, right? So you have to come back with what are the other ways I can let this person see how we need to prioritize what I'm doing, right? So you have to do your research. What he's requesting, what's the technical debt? How long is it going to take us to implement it? Is it a big win, small effort, big win kind of situation, or is it something we can quickly do, right? So it's not just managing them and their expectations. You have to be sure that you're able to prioritize as well. So you have to do all those research, and then you come back with reasons why and reasons why not.
So, and then you leave them to make the final decision,
Yeah,
because
so
definitely they are the orgas.
yeah, so you leave them to make the final decision, but you have given them enough information,
Data.
but they need to feel like they arrived at that decision themselves. So it helps.
Rema, you need to feel like they arrived at the decision themselves.
Yeah.
I think I agree. I completely agree on that. So, but apart from stakeholder management, were there specific challenges you had during your you've had in your career so far, and what were those challenges, and how did you resolve them?
Also, you have to pick your battles. There are some, especially when you're still starting out as a junior PM or as a PM, right? So, this is Lagos, Nigeria, for instance, and your CV, your years of experience, whether I like it or not, it plays a big part in those arguments, right? So, a situation where you are working for a company and that's your first gig as a PM, your chances of being able to pull your weight or being able to be that voice, and it also depends on the company you work with. Do they trust you enough to take the final decision and all that? Yeah. So you just have to pick your battles in some cases. Do you want to really argue? I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, I think we should do this because of XYZ. But you might have a stubborn boss, an authoritative boss that says, I want us to do this.
Yes.
Right? To fulfill all righteousness, you might do that, but you're already working on your own plan as a backup. I've done that in the past. Before, when I started out, I would do what they asked me to do, but I will work on my own initial plan as a backup, right? So I've had to do that on one or two occasions, and then it was a form of unofficial A/B test for me. So I would do what you said, but I will still do mine, right? And then in the end, I will show you, oh,
The results.
yeah, this failed, or I was doing this on the side, and it seems to be promising. So
oh my god, that's so tricky.
yeah, so you have to massage egos a lot, especially depending. It always depends on the company you work in. It's different in every company, so you have to learn to massage egos, and you can't be a product manager and not be a people person.
I was even going to go to that, like
Yeah,
about team management, about people management. How do you do that? I know we are talking now and we're
Yeah.
talking about like managing developers and how sometimes it can be prove difficult. It might be difficult to How do you like what are the processes? Do you put structures in place to make sure that everyone is accountable, that work is being done, that how do you manage people generally, your team?
Okay, so first of all, the way I manage my team, I try as much as possible to be unofficial. So something we always hear is how your job is to inspire people, right?
Sure.
And Product Dive also reiterated that recently. And your job is to inspire people. And inspiring people is not, I seriously believe it's hard outside. Do you understand? Your work can either be a contributing factor to the stress you already have outside of work, or it can just be a place where when this particular person is talking, you are going to be happy. So I try to be. A lot of people at my current office think I'm unserious.
Really?
Yeah, cause
You don't even look it, and your disposition here has been very serious.
I'm actually. I try to be the office clown, right? But it's
so ironic and funny at the same time because I don't see you as one.
you get it, but my people know. So I try to. It's because of it's important to inspire your team, and not just your team. Your team is engineering too and design, right? Because they need to feel good about what they're doing. They need to understand what they're doing.
True.
To do it, is one thing to give you a task and walk away, right? And expect you to do it. But it's one thing to inspire you enough that I believe this thing, and then you do it. You do it better. You do it with the same energy if I was there, and if I wasn't there. Exactly. Do you understand? So I always try to inspire my guys, and I always, we either yab each other or it's very unofficial, right? But I try not to take myself too serious because work can be so demanding. And what I've noticed is because I put myself in that spot where I'm unserious and I'm always cracking one joke or the other, it's difficult to turn me down.
So how do you create a balance? Like knowing, like, especially when you are playful, people can tend to like not take you seriously, right? So how do you now create the balance, make people know that, okay, we are here to work. Forget I'm playing. We are here to work.
Okay, so the first thing is, if there's a goal for, let's say we're on the sprint, right? We all know if we don't achieve what we set that sprint out for, we're all screwed. We know. I don't need to tell you that, right? So if I come and I crack a joke about Baba, you barb your hair, now the work make you barb your hair, your head is shine. You understand? You're looking fresh for stress. You understand? I'm cracking a joke like that. It doesn't take away the fact that we know that at the end of 2 weeks, if we haven't achieved this, except you're a completely unserious person. And so that's a red flag for me. And I know I'm telling your engineering manager that, what do you think about this person? He's not serious, right? So the fact that I'm joking and I'm making work light doesn't mean we don't know the consequences of, and obviously your OKRs are tied to for engineering, your OKRs are tied to how much you're able to cover within sprints. You understand? So you don't need me to tell you, oh, you fucked up. You will know at the end. So that those things go without saying. But yeah, you're right. There needs to be a balance. You can't always be a clown, right? You just joke when you have to.
Of course. I mean, but relationship building is also part of it. Yeah. One thing I've learned is small talk is important. Very, very important. No matter how we try to push the way. I've never been this person who forget I've been talking to you here. Yeah. I've never been this person who was good with small talk. It has always been very awkward for me to start a conversation with small talks and all of that. But when I started product management, I discovered that it's something that is important. You have to play, you have to learn people, you have to talk with people outside of work, you have to build great relationship with your team.
You can't be a loner.
Yeah, very, very important. So let's talk about Bumpa, your work at Bumpa. E-commerce. What does product management in e-commerce look like?
So product management, I feel product management, regardless of the industry, still follows the same set of principles. You need to do customer research. You need to understand your customers, right? You need to know, and depending on, just like your customer varies depending on your industry, right? So if you work in SaaS, your customer is different from people like us that in e-commerce, where our customers are everyday small businesses, right? Everyday people, right? But understanding your customer is non-negotiable, right? You need to understand your customer. You need to understand their pain points, right? So it still follows the same principles. Understanding your customers and ensuring that you are looking for ways to improve their experience. So you're talking about, for e-commerce, for instance, you're talking about people that they're used to pen and paper. They want to record sales, write it down. They want to issue physical receipts.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're trying to tell them, oh yeah, with this app, you wouldn't need to. With your website that you didn't even want in the first place, you can be more prominent on social media.
Yeah.
So it's still understanding them, and you've created a solution for them. How do you sustain use of that solution? Because if people have been using pen and paper for years, right? So how do you sustain? How do you remain relevant to them? How does your app remain? So it's by understanding them, interacting with them, help making them feel like you're not just building on your own, you're building with them. They become a part of the brand, right? And that's something Bumpa does a great job of. Try to make the users feel like they are
a part of
the brand.
They're building the product alongside.
And then nothing hits the nail on the head better than when a customer complains about something. As our own customer complains about something, and in the next build, that thing is addressed. It creates more affinity. So it's really not that much different, because it's still the same methodologies, the same ways for product discovery and the likes.
So what are your average days like?
Well, first of all, I always have calls we have our engineering stand up at 11, but then
is that not late?
There's a reason why, because we have
why
we have there's a product stand up as well for the product team at 10, right? So everybody comes and you tell the rest of the team what you're working on, right? So product uses that to, okay, engineering is going on this. We're going to drag them on the engineering stand up, and then you do stand up as well for engineering. And after that, then you need to check the data. For me personally, I check the data.
What data tools do you use?
We use Mixpanel.
I use Mixpanel as well.
Okay, cool. We use Mixpanel.
Like you're my guy inside, you teach me. I'll come and meet you.
Yeah, we use Mixpanel. We use it's basically Mixpanel mostly for data analysis.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so you use those tools to try and understand what has happened the previous days, and then you speak to a engineering manager. What are the bugs they've seen on Sentry? That's the tool they use for
Sentry.
Yeah, for bug tracking. So, and then because of my role as a senior product manager, I'm responsible for direction and partnerships mostly. So I have to go back to documentations I'm working on, basically activities for product that are in line with our goals for that quarter. So I need to make sure that we're on track, and whatever agreements or partnerships we're working on, those communications are going. And then I have to start. I have a notepad where I scribble my plans for the next quarter, or where I want the product to be. So I try to draw a lot of flows, our current state, try to compare it with where I want it to be. But then I need to speak to my team, let them know what they're working on, let ask them what they're working on, and then the questions are endless, because everybody wants to be sure that they're heading in the right direction, so they're not wasting time. So we speak to them and try to inspire them. I do that every day.
How do you inspire them? Do you like play some inspirational?
No. So it's especially when
aspire to perspire kind of thing.
No. It's not. It's because what I've realized is a lot of people become uninspired when the work they have to put in to achieve a particular goal becomes all they see, right? So for instance, you want to launch let's say, rough related example. You want to launch a video player on a website, right? But then the work to get all the materials necessary to build that video player, for instance, on the website is so daunting, and the person is stuck in the problem solving phase, right? They begin to not even think about the impact that solution they're trying to build will have on the customer. So they're just focused, they're stuck in that problem solving phase. So you need to have that conversation with them. Okay, how have you been trying to do this, right? Maybe you should try a different approach. Remember, these guys we're doing this because. So it's like recentering, a lot of recentering people and ensuring that they don't
It's
lose
bringing their
focus.
focus back over and over, because as you're getting to do the work every day, it becomes a routine, and you forget why you are doing it in the first place.
And then sometimes you use small wins to inspire your team. Like,
Small wins.
Today our shareholder feature was the highest it's been all week, and everybody feels good about that.
I don't do that actually. So now that you mentioned, I should go and practice.
Yeah, it helps you helps you feel good about what you're doing too, especially when you see the outcome of the impact.
Yeah, we've really had a lot of wins in recent time at Clafia.
So when you should discuss it with engineering, especially because those guys, they can get stuck in sprints, building. So when they have an idea of the impact they are making, it helps them believe in what they're doing. Yeah.
So you mentioned a lot about your story, how you transitioned. But I did not hear about any other person. Like, were there mentorships that helped you accelerate, and what did they look like? Or you figured everything out on your own?
Well, so a lot of us are different. I've tried to reach out to you on LinkedIn to have you inspire me. Well, it didn't really work out. I tried it once, it didn't work out, and I just didn't bother. So I have a habit of teaching myself to do stuff a lot. I had a building phase where I used to build computers with my guys. I learned on YouTube, right? And so I take that mentality into almost everything I do. I learned how to ride a bike myself before I went to ride school. So I already knew the fundamentals before I went to ride school. Ride school just...
So you actually went to ride school?
Yeah, to learn how to ride in Lagos.
Yeah, so it's a special training
you have to
for Lagos.
Yeah, trust me. So I took that into product management as well. So I read books. That's the form of mentorship I have. I read books, but it wouldn't work for everybody. It's heavily dependent on the kind of person you are. But a lot of people, because the way I figured it, your mentors have everyday lives. It's not everybody that has time to talk to you and inspire you. You understand? So might as well just do it yourself. So, yeah.
So do it yourself. You had him. Do it yourself.
Yeah, you inspire yourself. But I mean, you can learn.
You don't have to wait till you don't have to send people a bulk of messages. You have to like start from somewhere.
Yeah.
Do it yourself. Oh, amazing. Okay. So yeah. Back to e-commerce.
Okay.
That's where we started from.
Okay.
What are the I know you talked about the whole thing boiling back to product management, basic product management methodologies, and it being like the same focus, right? The same strategies, the same operations, the same processes. But are there like unique challenges that you've seen in the e-commerce industry, right? As a product manager, right? First of all, challenges as a product manager in e-commerce, and then challenges of e-commerce in Nigeria, right? And how Bumpa is solving that.
Okay, so the first I'll answer with challenges as a product manager for an e-commerce company in Nigeria is the first challenge would be getting customers to speak to you. That's the very first one.
I think it's everywhere.
Yeah, so because
I think that's everywhere.
Because you try to speak with someone that owns a shop, for instance, and he's telling you, man, he has been running this shop for 5 years and he makes XYZ amount. So why is he going to come on your website? And he has been using this Nokia phone without a camera, and he has been making millions. So why does he want to come online? Is he Facebook or Instagram? Do you understand? So it's difficult to speak with people that are set in their ways, right? So you need to sometimes you just need to accept that your product won't be for everybody. It will be for people that are already on their own, venturing into social
Yes.
media and are looking for
Yeah.
that adventurous enough. Yeah, so there's that. Challenges for e-commerce in Nigeria is customer trust, building customer trust. I remember Konga back then started pay on delivery because it made no sense as a Nigerian to go on one website and put in your card details to make a purchase. So nobody was interested in doing that. So
True.
pay on delivery was the first step to winning trust. So it was easy. You just order, when it comes, you check it and you pay. You understand? So it's trust on the part of the merchants and on the part of the buyers. So the merchants need to know that, oh, if I come on your platform, I would actually make sales, right? Because if not, you've wasted my time and I've paid a subscription or whatever, right? And then the buyers need to also know that whatever it is I'm buying is genuine. You're not taking a picture off of Google and telling me this is what it is, what I bought versus what I got. You understand?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be a victim. You understand? So I think those are the main challenges in the e-commerce industry. So what we try to do at Bumpa is we try to open more communication lines between the merchant and the buyer and the customer. So it's not like there's no illusion behind who you're buying from. You can send a WhatsApp message to this person. You can send an Instagram DM to this person, and then you get communication, and then you know you're actually dealing with somebody. Do you understand?
Okay. So does Bumper give customers, like the business owners, access to like customers, to an audience, a pool of customers?
Well, if you mean like a marketplace,
Yes. Okay.
no.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you so much, Temilade. It was such an insightful session.
Temitayo.
Sorry. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why did I call you Temilade, please?
I don't
Okay,
know.
thank you. Thank you, Temitayo, for coming. It was an
You're
insightful
welcome.
session. I personally learned a lot. I learned to share small wins. I think that was like the keynotes for me.
Okay.
And it's something I'm going to go back to practice with my team.
It was nice being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's the end of this episode. And we had Temitayo Bankole on the show, who is the product manager at Bumpa. Make sure that you listen to the next episode. If you haven't listened to the previous episode, to make sure that you listen to them. All right, bye.